selfie stick struggling to stay in position. Oh, fantastic! Absolutely fantastic. Hi and welcome to the channel. I'm Rick Cutler and you're joining me on a horrible day in Preston. We are here at Bowker Motorrad and I have with me the 2023 but 2024 BMW R1300 GS. I've got the Trophy edition and I've got the Triple Black edition. Today I'm going to be taking both of them out for a test ride. So there'll be two separate videos on the channel. So you can see me test riding the Trophy, you can see me test riding the Triple Black. We're going to take them out even though it's a little bit wet and windy. They'll be alright. Stick with me. Cheers. I do not think we're going to get a break in the weather today at all, so let's just go with it. So let's get back onto this. We are on the 2023. Oh, that feels far out. Interesting. So we've got a power button, start the bike up, we'll flash it up, we're in neutral, and then we can start the bike. It has got an absolutely beautiful engine sound and exhaust sound. Well, let's take it for a ride. Now the rear brake feels a little bit low as to its position for me, but I think that's only because I've raised mine up. Now this is strange, because instantly this does not feel like your normal GS. This feels much slimmer. This feels almost as slim as the R1250R when you're riding it. So the seat position's a bit more upright, which is fine because it's an adventure bike, but it feels weird that I'm comparing an adventure bike to a street bike. What a horrible day! It's a little bit uncalled for. With it. Oh, that box has still got that little rock to it as you rev it. It wants to shudder. It's really quite impressive. Yeah, it is a little bit wet out, to say the least. It picks up nice off the line. No dramas there. But this is so comfortable. Now, as much as it's hammering it down with rain, I'm not too concerned. I've not got a rigid body position on this. I'm really quite comfortable, really quite relaxed, even given the climate. What I am going to do is use that menu. So if I press the button here, I can go on grip heating and press and hold. And I can turn up my grip heating using this rocker switch. So the numbers are up on this bike and then some other numbers have come down. Well, we've now gone from 134 brake horsepower up to 145 and the torque figure's up as well, so that's now 149 Newton meters of torque. Again, this is a nice little test ride on Bowker Motorrad's brand new demonstrator. So we're not going to be pushing the boundaries of finding out full speed and peak power and torque, but let's go for a nice little roll on in third. Nice, really smooth, really smooth. Now I like this little section here because I've got a nice little right hand into another left hand in a sec. Just a really nice place to lean the bike over a little bit. Get the power back on, and the engine sounds really good. Wow, beautiful. Now this little section of woodland, it is somewhere where I usually stand up on the bike, and yeah, oh, that feels so light and really nimble between the legs, like really slim. This does not feel like a 1300. Aside from the brutish power that it's got, because the engine's slung down underneath, and again that engine unit's been completely transformed, so not only have they upped the capacity from 1250 to 1300, what they've also done is made it lighter, and they've actually moved the gearbox further underneath. So that combination, they've managed to save weight and slim the weight of the bike down, and they've also managed to make the actual wheelbase shorter. Because the cylinders are slung down and it's that boxer configuration, the bike feels really slim between your legs. I think that's what sort of drawn me to that comparison to the R1250R. It almost feels like an adventure version of that bike, albeit with a new engine. It's quite impressive to say that BMW's actually made an adventure bike that feels like a normal road going bike, a sport bike. Which is interesting as soon as you start thinking of the fact that I've said sport. Now, not sport as in sports bike as in racy race, or street bike, but the fact that this is a trophy edition. Woohoo! Woohoo! This selfie stick's struggling to stay in position. Oh, fantastic! Absolutely fantastic. I tell you what, I'm now gaining a lot more confidence with the bike. Again, brand new bike, and I'm new to the tyres. I like to get used to things, but I'm feeling more and more confident about the bike and its handling and the suspension. I say that right as there's a shitload of shit on the road. Oh dear. Suppose I asked for that. Just as I get comfy with the handle and I want to push it a little bit more into the corner, the corner's covered in manure. So I'm loving the handling of the engine, loving the handling of the bike and the suspension setup. Obviously I've got it in dynamic, you can see that. And that kind of suits me to the ground a fair bit. And that's the good thing about this is I feel like even though it's horrible weather, I'm still able to ride the bike how I would ride it. I'm getting really good feedback through the handlebars and through my backside as to what the bike wants to do on the road. This is a really strong combination of both power and performance and handling. The power delivery is just so smooth, so smooth. There's a couple of times now that I've had to remind myself that I'm on an adventure bike, because the combination of power and performance and the handling is just phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. This is just next level. I do apologise for this test drive being in such horrible conditions. But I was surprised, I was really sort of surprised. I thought I'd want to spend more time stood up on this bike. which is really interesting. And it's not a bad thing at all. Because although, yeah, I'm in dynamic and all that, but the handling of the bike and how it feels, I'm really comfortable. My seating position, I know I'm upright, but my geometry, so I'm 6 foot and my geometry fits this bike really well to the point where I want to sit down on it more than stand up. And the last big BMW I rode was the GSA, the 1250 GSA with the triple black, and I must admit I did feel a lot more inclined to stand up on that bike than I do this bike. I feel more comfortable sat down. Considering I like riding my adventure bikes, that's kind of like a little bit of a statement really, because I feel like my legs, my knees are hugging the tank a bit more, like I'm wanting to pinch my knees into the tank like a sports bike to help with the handling. And it's, like I say, it's sporty in its nature. It feels a lot more, I don't want to say road orientated, but obviously I'm comparing a GSA to a GS. But I do have to keep reminding myself that on an adventure bike, aside from the upright position, the performance and handling feels a lot more akin to your sort of standard street bike. I just feel a little bit more higher up and a little bit more upright in my riding position. But that's not a bad thing, because of the amount of time that you're going to spend on road and off road on these, will be sort of user dependent. It depends on what you're going to use it for, but I'd say for the best part this is going to be a road bike more than anything, which I think is a fair assumption. Another thing I've noticed is if you have a look, the headset's separate on the handlebars from the triple tree. So it's like a floating plate. So really kind of cool way of doing it. I'm just watching out for this corner because this is where the shit was coming out of that field. There we go, back onto the playful mode. And this is playful, really playful. Being able to put the power on midway through the corner, being able to pick up like this. And I'm letting the bike glide underneath me and feel the road. I've got that confidence to allow it to do that. Such a lovely bike to ride. A little bit of seat air. Saw it coming, I know it's there. We're going to come back down to earth. Turn it in here. I've wanted to like this bike because I like the GSs that are slimmed down, I like the ones that are stripped down. I prefer them with that little bit less bodywork to them, if you know what I mean. I don't need all the plastics, windscreens and things, they just get in my way. I'm enjoying the view that I've got. I hope you guys are enjoying the view that you've got from my chin, because it's got that low screen on it. But I am really comfy on this bike, I must admit. And the seat's not too firm, it's just that really nice. Go up the hill. Beautiful. I'll tell you what, this is just a really nice place to be on this bike. It's just handling everything really well. I think just on that little bit of the road there where it's a bit more slicker, I felt the traction control kicking in, which is fine because I'm happy to let it do it. I can see that the road's slipping, I'm trying to take the path that looks like it's got the most grip on it. But sometimes you just can't help it. And there is bits where it's going to be a little bit gnarlier, and that traction control just kicked in right at the moment where I felt, not that the back end was slipping, but there's a potential for it to go, which is really good. It's not trying to correct me or correct my riding, it's just made a tiny assumption and assessment of the road and going, do you know what, I'm just going to dial off a little bit for you. Not as an intervention as such. Shit's on the road again. So I've taken quite a shitty little route, haven't I? Not only is the weather horrific, but there's been quite a lot of crap on the road. I do really like this thing. So what we'll do is have a little hop, skip and a jump on the motorway. So before I go on the motorway and I'm in nice little sweets, I'll quickly show you this. So the screen is in the up position at the moment, but on the down position, that's it, way down there. But I like how it's like one friction lever, so you can do it one-handed, you can do it on the fly, not an issue. Yeah, that's really quite cool, that. Well, I think the rain's just at the point where it stops. Well, it doesn't matter too much. The rain's not actually put a dampener on this test ride at all on the road conditions. It's been actually really good to have a good ride of the bike in some optimal conditions, because you really get more out of the bike and more out of the feel of the bike on a bad day. Most bikes will feel not too dissimilar in nice, fine, summer, dry weather without an issue. But this doesn't sort of put the cat amongst the pigeons, I would say, but it lets you feel what the bike's going to do when you have one of those bad days. When you go out for a nice ride and then the weather changes while you're out, it's good to know. It's good to have that confidence in the bike as well. A nice little motorway test, because you are going to use these things on the motorway. If you're going to be commuting, you're going to be travelling, you're going to end up doing some motorway miles. And even with this screen in its high setting, which seems pretty low, I can feel it just keeping it off my chest. It's up on my shoulders, but it's off my chest. Still enjoying hitting my legs to the tank. It's just a really comfortable position, especially like if I'm going to be riding for a fair length of time. I like to sometimes just be able to take the bike with my legs, if you know what I mean. It's like, it takes your hands away and just lightens the load on your hands, on the handlebars, and just gives you that really nice level of control to the bike as well. So we've got average speed cameras along here, so what I'm going to do is put it into fifth, switch on the cruise control and just hit set. I've set it to 50. That's really quite nice that you're just operating it with one finger, your index extended off one hand, and it's dialed in. Just because there are average speed cameras all the way along this road section, you switch it off and that drops out. Now I know they've shed weight from the previous bikes, which is great. It's great that they've shed weight, but I think it's even more impressive is the fact that I can feel the difference in the weight. I can feel that the bike's lighter. I can feel that handling better because it's a bit more lighter weight, and it feels like a much more manageable bike. Now I don't know whether this has been something with intent, that BMW actually wanted to make the bike lighter through performance, or whether it was through talking with the its customer base and listening to the customer base, whether that's something that previous generation of GS riders wanted the bike to be lighter, whether that just to make it more manageable as a bike. And at some point you can get bikes up so heavy that you rival small cars, you may as well just have a small car. So whether they've gone actually
performance and handling wise, we want it lighter, or just to make it more manageable for people that own the bike and ride the bikes. Just making it that little bit more lighter, more manageable, even to the point where they've got an assisted centre stand on some of the bikes. So I think it's part of a spec pack that you need to run through the parts catalogue and request at the point of when you configure the bike for you, is that assisted centre stand. Well, that's pretty damn cool, because I've got a big bike and there are days where I struggle to get on and off the centre stand. I am recovering from injury. I injured my right leg pretty badly, work-related injury, not this kind of work, my kind of work. I was in a not good way at all. It was really quite debilitating, and it impacted on me riding, and it really did have that negative impact. One of the things that I couldn't do was put it on the centre stand. I've got it back now, I managed to do it now, but for them to think, right, well, let's have an assisted system for the kickstand, like centre stand, I love that. That's thoughtful, and that's something that they've added to the bike that the previous generation didn't have, and even still they're still looking at adding things, but saving weight and having the bike lighter. It's like, this is a bit of a win-win. So I've tried to encompass a few different roads on this. So we've done the motorway, we've done A roads and B roads, and a couple of little back roads that have been really quite nice and a little bit gnarly, especially when farmers leaving trails all over the road, just to give the bike an opportunity to have that bit of experience of what this bike's going to be exposed to. You're going to be using it on the motorway, you're going to use it on AVs, you're going to use it on dirty roads, and it's been fantastic. I've been able to feel the fact that it's lighter. I've been able to feel the fact that the wheelbase is a little bit shorter and it's a bit sharper. I feel like rather than being the Caveat world dominating bike to travel the world and cover miles and miles, it's still got that about it, don't get me wrong, but it feels like it's a little bit more manageable around town, around the back roads. So it felt a little bit more like the R1300, that size of street bike. So I do think it handles much nicer than the previous generation bike. That subtle change in just a shorter wheelbase and that little bit weight saving has made such a massive difference to how this bike handles at your normal rev range. Like I say, we're not going for peak torque, peak power at this point. It's where you're going to be riding a bike and how it handles and how it feels, and it just feels a whole lot more planted. Like I said, we ended up on dirty tracks today and it rode like it was on rails. So this has been my first impression of the bike and sort of final thoughts really. I am really impressed with this as a bike that I would potentially own, definitely. It felt strange because for an adventure bike I felt like I wanted to spend more time sat down, which isn't a bad thing, don't get me wrong. I love standing up on the bikes, but the fact that it made me want to sit down because the ride was that engaging, because the seat's comfy, because I feel good that the tank's slim and the whole geometry of the bike makes me want to sort of hug my knees in a bit. So that, folks, was the trophy edition of the brand new BMW R1300 GS. I'm really impressed. I really like the bike. I love the fact that it's got that new styling with the headlight and just everything about it's just really quite impressive. I do like the indicators built into the handguards. But what do you reckon? What do you think?
you let me know. But thanks for watching.